I lost my husband, my family turned against me, and it all started because of one lie my daughter told. This ruined everything. Throwaway account due to the situation. But I need to know because I'm getting calls and text from family calling me an asshole for not being on my daughter's side. My husband and I have been married for a little over 5 years now. I will say my daughter 19F, and he has an okay relationship, not exactly father and daughter, but almost advice asked and given relationship, basically. I have never picked up on anything weird from my husband towards my daughter, and my daughter has never said or insinuated anything at all as well. On Thursday, me and my husband was watching a movie in the living room. We paused the movie as he got up to use the bathroom. I heard him knocking on the door twice. Literally 3 knocks each time on the door, a couple of seconds apart. It was loud enough for me to hear him knocking from the living room. The next moment, I heard screaming. I rushed to the bathroom and saw my daughter completely naked, covering herself and yelling at my husband to get out. I didn't see everything that happened, but what I saw after I heard yelling was my husband literally fell over his own feet and struggling to get the bathroom door closed. I asked my husband what happened, and he said he knocked, nobody answered, so he went in. And my daughter was naked in front of the mirror and he tried to get out. After my daughter calmed down, I asked her side of what happened and she said she was changing and all of a sudden my husband walked into the bathroom. I asked her why she didn't answer him when he knocked. She said he didn't. I told her I heard him knock, so I am sure that he did. She said she didn't hear it because she had her ear pods in listening to music. We got the situation sorted and my husband did apologize to her and explained he thought the bathroom was empty and walked in. She even gave him a hug and apologized for yelling at him. The problem now is my daughter got family members involved, and they are now calling my husband a creep. Got a call from my sister berating me for still having my husband in the house. I asked what she meant, and I came out that my daughter spun a whole other story and left out the fact that she was listening to music with her earpods and is telling everyone that she answered him, and he still walked into the bathroom to look at her. We have cameras in our hallway, and it proves that my husband did knock, as you can see it on the video, but the cameras has no audio. I sat my daughter down and asked her, and she denied saying anything like that, or that she told anyone anything. I got mad and asked, "Then how does your aunt know what happened?" And she went silent. She said she talked to her niece about it and she must have told her mother. I asked her why did she lie about what happened and made my husband look bad when he did nothing wrong. She again denied lying about anything, and I told her what my sister told me. She just started to cry and say sorry. She was just talking and making up scenarios with her niece. The whole day yesterday, I got calls and text from my family members as the story spread. The wrong story is spreading, and my husband is looking like a creep to everyone. I sat my daughter down again and had her read some of the things being said about my husband and told her she has to fix this because her lying is what caused this. She refused, saying she didn't spread this and she only told her niece and doesn't want to say anything to anyone because they will think bad about her. She said they know my husband, and this will just blow over. Everything did blow up when my husband walked into the living room with his bags packed and said he is going to stay with his parents for a while because he doesn't want to be in this situation anymore where he is made out to be this kind of person. My daughter broke down and apologized repeatedly and said she will fix it by my husband still left. I told her if I get divorced because of her lies, she will be moving out of my house. I told her she better fix what she did and tell everyone what really happened, because I will not be losing a man that loves and actually cares for me like my husband does over lies. She asked me to help her, and I told her no, she isn't a child anymore, and her lies for attention did this. This is on her. I already tried, and I'm now also being accused of taking my husband's side and not providing a safe space for my daughter. I don't know what to do. My husband asked for space, and my daughter is inconsolable at the moment. I am not in the best state myself. Sorry if my post is all over the place. I don't even know if my title is correct on this post. I have reread AMD reread and it still doesn't make sense to me. Update 1. Sorry for only updating now, but I'm not in the best of places at the moment and it has taken me a couple of days to get my thoughts together. I don't know what to do anymore. My husband has asked for a divorce. First, let me answer a couple of questions I saw coming up repeatedly. We have locks on every door in the house. I don't know why my daughter didn't use the lock on the door. The cameras inside the house isn't pointed at any door, except for the ones pointed at the front door and back door. The other camera is at the end of the hall, and you can see every door in the hallway from that camera. We have a bathroom in our room, but we can't use it at the moment. The water is completely shut off due to renovation of the bathroom. My husband has asked for a divorce. On Friday, he came back home and asked to talk. During our talk, he showed me his phone, and some of the things my family members were saying about him was just outright horrible. Calling him a pedo, asking him how many times he has taken a peek before. I don't recognize any of my family anymore. I understand if he actually did something but he hasn't, and the hatred they are showing over a stupid mistake. Tell me they refuse to listen or they have hated him from the start and is now using this to try and get rid of him. He said he can't ever come back, and this has now started to affect his work life as well. He was called into HR to explain, because some of my family members have called his office. Luckily, they haven't done anything and refuse to do anything until a case is brought against him. They know my husband very well, and I think they believe him as well because he is still working. During our talk, he explained that he does love me and still does, and he is happy I stood up for him. But my daughter's actions have caused him many problems, accusations, and made him scared. He explained he sat at the office and at his parents' home every day just waiting for the police to show up and arrest him. He said her lies broke him and he can't see a way to come back from it. I asked him to reconsider and that maybe we can go for counseling, but he also refused, saying everything is too broken to fix. I told him that I will kick out my daughter and told him about everything I did and told my daughter to do, but he said I'm missing the point. His life could have been completely ruined because of a lie. My family will never trust him again and will always harbor hatred or suspicions about him. Especially now that my daughter wants to clear things so long afterwards, they will think we forced her to do it, and that will just make things worse. He said he will always remain the creep in their eyes. I asked him what if I cut off my family and we moved away, because I was already working on that. I showed him my phone and the message I have sent every single person so far that refused to listen and that I blocked them. He asked what about my daughter. I told him again I will be kicking her out and she will be staying with my parents from now on. He asked what if we moved away, will I abandon my daughter then, because he doesn't want to be near her or be alone with her at all. I didn't know what to say about that. Before I could answer, he said again, "It's better for us to get divorced." He said, "I will never ask you to abandon you, daughter. I will never expect you to do something like that. But I don't want her anywhere near me. If you abandon your daughter, I don't know if I could ever look at you the same afterwards, even if it was for my sake. The only solution here is for us to get divorced." My daughter came running down the hallway into the living room crying. I think she was listening to our conversation. Before she could get a word out, my husband jumped up from the couch and put his hands out and asked her not to get near him. He said, "Before you say anything, I will start to record the conversation now," and took out his phone. I think I saw something break in my daughter's eyes at that moment, at the realization of everything hit her all at once. She asked my husband to forgive her, and she never meant for things to get so out of hand. She was just making up scenarios with her cousin, and her cousin was the one that ran with it. Mew husband asked her, why didn't she clear it up immediately then? She said she did think it will go this far and thought it will just blow over because everyone knows him. He showed her his phone and asked her to read some of the messages, and my daughter went completely silent. We talked for a boy 4 hours at the end. My husband said he will give us 3 months to move out of the house because it is his house. My daughter can keep the car because it was a gift, and that he will finish paying this year's tuition, but will not pay anything going forward. He said he hasn't gotten a lawyer yet, but told me to get one. He will like to do this without lawyer, but if I want to, I can get one. He said he will be fair and touch our divorce and doesn't harbor anything against me, but he can't stay in the relationship. My daughter was just sitting on the floor looking like a ghost, and I couldn't just say anything, listen to him talk about divorce and what will be split and whatnot like it was nothing. He was talking like the last 5 years was nothing, and it was just easy to move on. The best way to describe it was like he was returning something to a store. He left the house and I just sat on the couch. I don't know if I was crying, talking, or what. I can't remember much as everything was muffled around me until my daughter started to full-on crying, saying, sorry, 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 over and over again, laying on the floor. I don't know how long I sat on the couch, but when I got up, I saw my husband's car still in the driveway. I looked out of the window and I could see him full-on crying in the car. Seeing that completely broke me. My daughter and I haven't talked since my husband was here Friday, not a word to each other. My family members have showed up to the house to apologize because apparently my daughter has all of a sudden now cleared everything up, and she herself shared the video from the camera with the family members. So every time they show up, I just close the door in their faces. I have gotten Facebook, Instagram, calls, and text from them, and when I block them, they keep making new account of use different numbers. I don't want to lose my husband. I really don't. This is the first man I have ever met that has actually treated me with kindness, respect, and love. And now it's all over. I have tried to talk to him and tried to convince him to go to counseling with me, but every time I have tried, he sends back, I can't. I can't take the risk. I have tried to meet him in person, but he just says it won't be a good idea. I have gone over to his parents' house, but they refuse to let me see him. I have gone to his work to talk to him, but I was told he was sent home by his boss. I truly don't know how to fix this. Having my daughter move out now won't work, because I need to be out of the house as well. I don't want anything from my husband. I just want him. I haven't talked to a lawyer yet, but I don't think I can keep the house. He owned it before we moved into the house. I really want to fix this. I still want to kick my daughter out of the house, but will he still give me a chance to fix it even after what my husband said about me abandoning my daughter and not seeing me the same afterwards? I don't know anyone. Am I really going to lose a wonderful man? Update 2. All right, so here we are. Things have gone completely sideways, and I honestly don't even know where to start. My husband and I had another conversation, and this time it was more final than anything else. He came by to drop off some papers for the divorce, and while he was here, my daughter tried to approach him again. She was crying, apologizing, begging him to forgive her. She even went so far as to get on her knees, literally begging. He didn't yell. He didn't get angry. He just stayed calm and told her, I don't hate you, but I can't trust you. You didn't just hurt me. You destroyed me. I'm walking away from this so I can at least try to rebuild my life. He wouldn't even stay long enough for me to talk to him properly. He said he wanted to keep things civil for the divorce, and that he wasn't trying to punish me or make things harder than they needed to be, but he couldn't move past what happened. He told me he was hurt that I didn't immediately see how serious this was and take a firm stand against my daughter from the beginning. He said, You protected her feelings, but you didn't protect me. And honestly, that hit me hard because he was right. After he left, I confronted my daughter again. She broke down completely and admitted that part of the reason she didn't clear things up right away was because she liked the attention she was getting from the family. She didn't think it would blow up like this and genuinely thought everyone would let it go eventually. She said she didn't realize how serious it was until she saw how it was affecting my husband. And now, with him gone, she's starting to see the real consequences of what she did. I told her point blank that I can't look at her the same way anymore. She didn't just ruin my marriage, she ruined someone's life, all because she couldn't handle the embarrassment of admitting she exaggerated a situation. I reminded her that this wasn't just a small mistake. This was a lie that painted someone as a predator and could have landed him in serious legal trouble. She cried and said she'd spend the rest of her life making it up to me, but I told her it's not me she owes, it's him. The family drama hasn't stopped either. Even though she finally admitted the truth to everyone, it's like the damage is done. Some family members are apologizing, saying they feel terrible for jumping to conclusions. Others are doubling down, saying, well, how do we know he didn't do something? We only have her word now. And the worst part? Some of them are blaming me for not protecting my daughter and calling me a bad mother for even considering staying with my husband after what happened. I've cut off almost everyone. I don't have the energy to deal with people who can't see how much damage they've done by fueling this fire. My sister, the one who started spreading the story in the first place, is now saying she only did it because she was worried about my daughter's safety. She won't even admit she was wrong for blowing it out of proportion. It's like everyone's trying to justify their actions while leaving me to pick up the pieces. My husband and I had one final conversation before he left for good. I went to his parents' house to see him, and they actually let me in this time. I think they felt bad for how everything turned out. We sat down, and I begged him to reconsider. I told him I'd cut off my daughter completely, if that's what it took to save our marriage. But he shook his head and said, I can't ask you to do that. And even if you did, it wouldn't change how I feel. I can't be around someone who would do something like this and then expect me to just move on. He told me he doesn't hate me, and that he still loves me in a way, but he doesn't see how we can move forward when there's always going to be this cloud hanging over us. He said, I don't want to spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder, wondering when this is going to come back to bite me again. Before I left, he told me he was planning to sell the house. He said he didn't want to keep living in a place with so many bad memories. He offered to give me some time to figure out my next steps before he put it on the market, but he made it clear that he wasn't going to change his mind about the divorce. So here I am, sitting in a house that doesn't feel like home anymore. My daughter and I barely speak. She spends most of her time locked in her room, and I can't even look at her without feeling this deep sense of anger and sadness. I know she's remorseful, but it's hard to forgive someone when the consequences of their actions are still unfolding. I've started looking for a smaller place to live. I don't know if I'll let her come with me, or if I'll send her to stay with my parents for a while. Part of me wants to make her deal with the full weight of what she's done. But another part of me feels guilty for even thinking that way. She's still my daughter. And no matter how much she's hurt me, I can't just throw her away. As for my husband, I don't think I'll ever stop loving him. He was the best thing that ever happened to me, and now he's gone because of something that could have been avoided if I'd handled things differently. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering if there was a moment where I could have done something to change the outcome. But it's too late now. This will probably be my last post because, honestly, there's nothing left to say. My marriage is over, my family is a mess, and I'm left to pick up the pieces of a life I barely recognize anymore. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I'll never let something like this happen again. My daughter's actions have taught me a harsh lesson about trust, boundaries, and the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. Thanks to everyone who took the time to comment and offer advice. It didn't save my marriage, but it did help me see things more clearly. For now, all I can do is try to move forward, one day at a time.